One thing I miss most about home is the feeling of belonging there, because you're living abroad, so you are a foreigner. People are going to treat you as a foreigner, like you're not from here. Even if they're friendly with you, if they're your friend or something, it still doesn't really feel like you belong to the place.
Yeah, you can just hop on a tram and go to the other part of the city and just know that by midnight you can still find something to come back, and you can walk with your phone in your hand to navigate the place. You will never do that, Johannesburg. Vele uthi hayi ngizothatha ifoni yami ngiyibuke ukuthi ibhree kuphi. Okokuqala ngeke uyithole ibhree la. Okwesibili nje leyo foni yophelele Mandela Bridge.
From the moment you land at the airport, you get that change in atmosphere. You know, people, hey, dumelang! You know, just at the airport, that's the kind of environment and atmosphere that you arrive to. When you arrive in Germany, the atmosphere is one of sadness.
I really like some of the food that you get, like the most common food that you can buy, street food. There's doner kebab everywhere, and I really like doner. I'm gonna miss it a lot. Also currywurst sometimes is also nice to have on occasion, but doner.
One other thing that stood out, I met my husband in China, so of course, I mean.
Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to part 2 of the Living Abroad series, a series where we come on here to talk about our experiences on what it's really like living abroad. What are some of the challenges that come with being away from home? But not only that, the nice things also. What do we really enjoy about living abroad? So we basically talk about everything that has to do with living overseas, being far away from home. And I hope that you guys enjoyed last week's episode. And today we are going to continue answering your questions. We've got some really interesting questions that we will be discussing today, and we're gonna have the same 5 people we had last week, and they will be answering your questions based on their personal experiences. Some of the questions or topics that will be covered in today's episode include the cost of living. How is it? Is it high or low? The second one relates to money. Ching, ching, ching. Is it worth it? Is it really, really worth it? And the third one relates to racism. Have you experienced it directly? Yes, no, maybe. We'll find out. And yeah, we've got a number of questions, and I'm sure you guys are really looking forward to hearing what our guests have to say about these different topics. And yeah, without wasting more of your time, let me excuse myself and allow you to enjoy the video.
So one of the things I really like about Germany, like living abroad in Germany specifically, is that things just work. Like public services, they are good and they work. Like public transportation, you have trains, you have subway, like underground trains, and you have like buses that go everywhere. That I think in a lot of places you don't really have much of that. So I think that's one thing that fascinated me. One thing I also liked a lot is the weather. Like in the summer specifically, you have the long days, like it's until 10 p.m. it's somewhat bright still, so you can like plan your whole day. Like, you know, on the weekends you can go to a lake or go do something, some outdoor activity the whole day, and it's really nice. And also I really liked the diversity you find here. Like you meet people from everywhere in the world, you find food from everywhere in the world. So even if German food doesn't fancy you, you can go to a Indian place and have some really nice and real spicy food. So I think that's things I can point.
So, I like a lot of things about living in Germany because it really is incredible. And I feel I've become kind of attached, to Germany. First of all, I love the efficiency. My. Maybe, my standards for what efficiency is are not that high for reasons I will not mention in this video. But coming from where I come from, it's top-notch efficiency. Everything works. I'm amazed. When I go to basically the home affairs of Germany, it's incredible. The way that you make the online appointment and you arrive at that time and they are ready to see you at that time and you're there. It's so quick, it's efficient, they give you what you need. My God, it's incredible. Of course, you know that this would be a different experience somewhere else, right? So I absolutely love the efficiency. I love that everything works, but also I love that people are polite. So Germans tend to be very, very polite, but also very direct. I love what I like to consider social correction of weird and strange things. So if people see you do something that really is strange, they will approach you and basically say something about it. And this is very hard to get used to because, especially if you're not used to that type of thing, you're just like, why are you saying dabenzam, But I realized, this is what keeps society functioning sort of well. One time there had been a storm and there was, those temporary road signs, iwile. And there was a little kid, maybe 7 or 8 years old, just riding along in his little scooter bike. He sees this sign and he corrects it. Like, it was not blocking traffic or anything, but it's that type of knowing that if something's wrong in a community, I can take the individual responsibility of trying to set it right. And this I truly enjoy about living in Germany, because I think then the whole society functions as a collective responsibility of all the individuals in there, and not just if it's wrong, there has to be someone from the municipal services to fix it. Of course, they also come to fix it. You also notice in Germany, there's usually a lot of constructions and maintenance stuff, but this is what keeps things working in the long run, and I truly enjoy this. I just love it. And it's also nice, of course, to be in Germany because you're in the EU, and that means you can just basically walk over to the Netherlands, walk over to the different countries. I mean, it's really, really super easy to travel and experience so many different cultures because you can basically just grab a train and go to Paris. It's incredible. So this I truly love about Germany. And also, I love the sausages that they have here. It is a fact, right? Wurst is very, very popular. It is the fast food with the fries, with the ketchup.
What I like about being here is that it's affordable. Easy. What is it? It's affordable, it's safe, it's I never had a nightlife in South Africa. I never had a desire for it. Even now, when I was home, angaze ngiphume ngiye out ebusuku, and I had no desire to, because everything you have to think a lot. Here you can just hop on a tram and go to the other part of the city and just know that by midnight you can still find something to come back, and you can walk with your phone in your hand to navigate the place. You will never do that in Johannesburg. Vele uthi hayi ngizothatha ifoni yami ngibuke ukuthi ibri kuphi. Okokuqala ngeke uthole ibri la. Okwesibili nje leyo foni yophelele eMandela Bridge. But yeah, I like the safety and the calmness, even though sometimes people being into just minding their own business is another part of which it's not easy to communicate, but it's also nice because people just mind their own business. Unless you're breaking the rules. But also in Amsterdam, that's not too strict.
What do I like about China or being in China? The number one thing for me about being in China has always been safety. It has always been the fact that I can wake up at 1 in the morning, at 1 a.m. I can take a walk without any fear of feeling like somebody's about to mug me, or I'm about to be chased down, or I can literally carry cash around and not feel any harm. I never feared for my life. That is the one thing that stood out. It's the fact that the country's so safe. You felt safe. That was one thing that I liked more than the money, more than anything else. It was the fact that I felt safe. One other thing that stood out, I met my husband in China, so of course, also one other thing that I really, really liked about China is the food. You guys, the food is nice. I lived in Sichuan province for like 2 years. The food is good, guys. Like the noodles, those my fan noodles, the rice noodles with the soup, and the soup is hot and chili, and it's just everything. The food is good. Chinese food is good. I really fell in love with Chinese.
So there are a few things that have really grown on me about being in Germany. So in summer, the days are very long, and once you get used to that, it's very nice to have these like nice long days. You can wake up on a weekend, you don't have to make plans immediately, you can like spend the whole morning doing nothing, and then you get going at like 2 p.m. and you still have 8 hours until the sun sets, and that's like amazing. I really like some of the food that you get, like the most common food that you can buy, street food. There's doner kebab everywhere, and I really like doner. I'm gonna miss it a lot. Also currywurst sometimes is also nice to have on occasion, but doner, there's a doner kebab place like every like few kilometers. And then I guess the other big thing I'm gonna miss is that not so much Potsdam, but when you go to Berlin, there's like a real nightlife scene, and you can buy beer anywhere. So there's a nice variety of beer, and all the corner stores, the Spetties, they all sell beer. So like if you want to walk somewhere, you go get a beer and you walk there. And drinking in public, there's no stigma around it. Lots of people do it. If you're going out, if you go to a bar and you're having a few beers and you think, okay, like we want to go to the club afterwards, you'll go from the bar to the nearest corner store, buy a beer, drink the beer while you take public transport to the club, finish it when you get there, and then you start your night. So, and you don't feel unsafe. That's the big thing about it. Berlin doesn't, at least most of the parts of Berlin I've been in, I can't speak for the whole of Berlin, it's a big place, but it does not feel unsafe, especially if you're in a group of people.
The cost of living in China is pretty much low. A lot of things are cheap. Accommodation is also not as expensive, but except in big cities where you'd find accommodation, it is fairly really expensive. But in small cities, accommodation is really affordable in comparison to the salary that you'd be earning. Is the money worth it? On a personal note, this is gonna shock a lot of people, but I don't think the money is worth it, because you get so lonely. That's the first thing. Second thing, there's just a huge language barrier, so it's hard making friends. But for some people, they would feel different if the money is worth it. Also, a huge chunk comes from the fact that there were a lot of lockdowns, so a lot of people wouldn't get salaries for like 2, 3, 4 months. So the money that is worth it, sometimes people just don't get it, and people outside of the walls of China just don't understand. But it's only people in China who would understand. Would I encourage somebody to go? I would, because at some point, experience is the best teacher. Everybody needs to experience things for themselves, So I would encourage people to travel. I'd encourage people to go and just have the experience themselves, because experience differs from person to person, literally.
I think Germany, especially this region of Eastern Germany, Berlin also, the cost of living is not too terrible. It's cheaper, I think, than other European countries or the major cities around. And one thing I noticed that like food, like groceries in general, are very cheap, like very cheap. You can get buy a lot of stuff with relatively very few money. I think the only major expense you're gonna have is rent. But outside of that, I don't think anything is too expensive. Like if you happen to have a more frugal lifestyle, if you're a student with a scholarship, or with low income, I don't think that's gonna be too problematic. You can get by really nice. You can have like money to go out with friends and have drinks every weekend if you prefer. But I think it gets expensive if you have to get any services. Like if you, I don't know, have to go to the doctors, I think that's kind of expensive. So I think that boils down to that. Like consumer goods are cheap, but services are expensive. And overall, I think the amount of money I got from my scholarship was more than enough.
The cost of living, of course, depends on where you are in the country, right? So if you live in a huge city, capital, Munich, Berlin, I don't know, you're obviously going to be having a very different view of this. I myself have not lived in super expensive cities, so the cost of living has been very, very reasonable because the salary is enough. I have never felt it's not enough. I always feel I'm getting paid enough that I'm able to make a living, I'm able to save, I'm able to travel, I'm even able to make contributions home because, well, that's the way that life is for some people like myself. So it's definitely worth it. And also if you are able to really find ways, like not live in an expensive apartment, for example, this helps me. When I was still living in Mainz, I lived in a student dormitory, which basically is highly subsidized, and the rent was super low and all-inclusive. This really helped me because I was just arriving in Germany and trying to establish my life, and they give you somewhat of these starter packs that just have basically everything. Because you imagine you arrive in a foreign country, you have nothing except your suitcase, which has your clothes, right? So you need your bedding, you need a spoon, you need a fork, you need everything. And so by arriving into the student dormitory, I was able to get like a package that has the most basic necessities. And also the rent was super cheap, including electricity, water, heating, all of those things, internet that was uncapped, Wi-Fi, amazing. And it was absolutely reasonable. And especially in relation to the salary, it really was not a bad deal. So I would definitely encourage people to go away from their home country, even if it's just for, I don't know, like an exchange program, if at all possible. These are not easy opportunities to get, of course, but if at all possible, I would say it's an opportunity that you should always grab with both hands, because the experience, learning the way of life of others, how things function in different countries, it's absolutely incredible and it's definitely priceless. So yeah, I would say it's definitely worth it. And if you can, go for it.
German grocery stores tend to, you see that like German spending habits of grocery stores tend to go for like bargains. They love, wherever you go, there's always like an emphasis on, oh, what's on sale. Red stickers here, they like, their entire stores, which are basically just, oh, this is the stuff that's on sale kind of vibes. So day-to-day costs of, in those regards are not that bad. I don't know, petrol, if you're willing to use public transport like most people are, that's not too expensive. Especially if you're getting the month tickets, you're buying season tickets, not that expensive, and you can get around quite well. The issue of rents in Berlin, Potsdam, essentially boils down to what you're doing. If you're a student, you assume that you're going to have a relatively small apartment, or you're going to be sharing an apartment. You will have enough money. If you share a flat or something like that, you'll have enough money for what you need to do, and you just rely on public transport, which works very well, except for the regional train sometimes, and you'll have enough money for going out, and you'll have more than enough money for food. Working, I assume if you like got a new job and you think of moving overseas to a place like Berlin, companies hired you maybe. As long as you don't have the expectation that you're going to be buying a place, as long as you're happy with renting an apartment, you can rent the nice apartments in Berlin. A lot of the suburbs of Berlin are really nice, and you can get around quite easy. Even if your job's on the other side of Berlin, you can take the Ringbahn and then U-Bahn from wherever, and you can get there. So I think, I don't know if it's the kind of place you'd want to be growing old, but like if you're a student or a young professional, it's definitely a nice place to spend a while. Maybe not indefinitely.
Cost of living, it's nice. You can afford your life. And if you stay not in Amsterdam where it's already expensive, I'm pretty sure you will even be more, like have more money than I, because Mina, since it's Amsterdam, things are expensive in this city. So I still can afford my life though. I've never called home on some planning man. It will be hectic. I can imagine that planning must be 1,000 rand. But yeah, like I've never had to do those type of stuff. So I mean, yeah, affordeka. Like by payday you have €2 in your bank account, but still like you are not completely 0-0, so it's doable. For the most part, also, if you have a master's degree, I feel like it's easy to get a job, but they can have that limiting thing of we want someone who speaks like Dutch or knows Dutch, whatever, which then means you have to know Afrikaans, South African, which I mean, don't know how people feel about that. I don't know Afrikaans. That's the thing. But like you have to have a such job. You can't come here and try to look for a job because that will be more hard. I mean, maybe you can, but it will be harder. And you just have to deal with more stuff and possible homelessness, and you don't want to deal with that. So if you find a job, you are encouraged to look for a job. And if you find it, definitely come. It's nice.
I do think racism is everywhere, literally. There is no place in the world where you could literally say there is no racism. Racism is everywhere. Even in China, obviously, it's the same thing. You know, you don't need to be in a certain place for a person to be racist against you or for you to be racist against the person. It's literally that racism is everywhere. So, to a certain degree, yes, there is racism, you know, but also a huge chunk of the differences that you see comes from people being curious. It comes from people who have never seen people who look a certain way, so they are curious, more especially the kids. You know, they'd want to touch your skin, they'd want to touch your hair, they're just curious because they literally, most of these kids have never seen a person who looks like me even. So it comes from a huge chunk of curiosity, but there is also racism, you know. Sometimes you go to malls and people pull up masks because you're a foreigner. So it's just about where you are in the world, you know. But there is racism, but there's also curiosity, people just being curious.
Like never experienced like aggressive direct racism. Maybe you like, even if you meet a mean person, I just like tell them myself that maybe they're just jerks. Like it's not because I'm black or whatever. And sometimes maybe they are, maybe they are not, and that's it. But for the most part, for people that were jerks, like when I told other people also like, oh, that happened to me too. So it could also happen that they are racist, but they just seem to be like on a bad day when the other person approaches them. So there's that. And yeah, I try not to look for it or see everything as racist. Sometimes maybe it is, but for my mental health and my mental being, I try not to look for it, because like racism is such a big thing and it's like it can be traumatizing. So I don't look for it and I just like move with my life. And as long as it's affect umsebenzi wami and is not something engidila ngayo in a professional level, I just like move on with my life.
So there are a few things that, like in hindsight, I'm looking forward to being back in South Africa for these reasons. One, so South Africans can be very friendly, like on the street. Like strangers can be very friendly to each other. People smile. If you greet a random person walking down the street, they don't look at you strange. They're like, oh, hi, how's it? Whereas in Germany, it's like people don't greet each other if they don't know each other in the street. It's like a bit of a like what are you doing moment. Another thing I do miss about South Africa, it's not, I'm a bit ashamed to admit this, but fast food in Germany is not that cheap. So street food is cheap, but like if you go to McDonald's, it's not that cheap. If you go to KFC, it's not that cheap. South Africa, it's cheap. Fast food is much cheaper, and you drive a lot more, so you're going through drive-thrus, and it's not good for you, but you start to miss bad things, you know. I miss also, I miss proper beaches. Like we weren't like, when you live in a coastal city in South Africa, you get used to be able to go to the beach. You don't really go to the beach here that much. Baltic Sea is okay, but it's not like a nice beach where you're going to go surfing and whatnot. And then the final thing, so in South Africa, I've lived in Joburg and then also in Cape Town the last year before I came here. And you take it for granted that there are mountains and ridges and hills, hey? Berlin is flat. It is so flat. It's nice if you're cycling, but it's a bit much actually. You miss being able to see things far away. Everything is like just one block away. So flat.
What I appreciate about home is the flavors of food. Like, yo guys, I don't know how to explain it. Like here sometimes into like ngifike as a show, like I feel like at some point ngizoba njengo-Beyonce, have hot sauce in my bag wherever I go. I feel like hot sauce fixes everything. Make baba, I'm like, I don't know how this tastes. I don't get how this tastes. Make baba, at least I'm going to be full. But back home, I never really had that. Also, like here, it's not easy. You don't know why they hot sauce. Yay! But vele bathi into mayinethi into sweet and sour. Wazi ukuthi izoba sweet. Because I do not understand ukuthi beyidla kanjani. But abantu, I'm eating this sweet and sour chicken, Korean chicken. Oh, jwayidla into enoshukela. And they like, oh, it's so nice. I'm like, what the hell? I literally have this friend at the office, UTG. Do not trust these people with food. She's Asian. So she's like, I do not trust anything. I'm like, because they have their benefits, but when it comes to flavor, no. Also, it's noisy. I don't like noise. Like, I don't like noise in South Africa. Durban is my least favorite city because it's noisy. Like city center, I like this city. Like, but I kind of appreciated good abantu bayakhuluma. Like when I'm back home, I don't feel like I'm the loudest person who I'm distracting. La, once ngahleka nje my full like capacity of laughing. Ngeke ngizwe nje ukuthi it echoes everywhere because even at the marathon today, I felt like yes, nabantu laba scream. But if I were to scream, like really, like scream your name, I shame, because ngathi abakwazi because I'm like kuyashesha kuphela. But yeah, like that, Jay. I like that shit. But like, I can speak Jay and scream and do whatever, and I don't feel like I'm the loudest person.
What is the one thing I appreciate about South Africa that I didn't appreciate prior to that? It is the weekend vibes. Oh, guys, I can't dance, but it is the weekend. You know, in South Africa, guys, on a Saturday, it's like there's this written rule of some sort. There are bright stands and camping chairs. People are going to parks. You're going to chill. This is the one thing I never thought I would miss about South Africa. I missed the South African vibe. I miss going to town and you have those guys, oh Caesar, let me help you. I missed the small things about home. I missed literally, the names they'd call you at home, Ntape, something I like literally ever since I left, I haven't heard anybody call me by that name, except for phone calls. I've literally become somebody, Matt. I mean, who's Matt? I mean, Kintabi, I miss just the South African homey vibe. Feeling like you home. You walking past, moms are selling my popcorn or my skopasi and you buy one for R1. I miss that. Number 2, I miss my friends. I missed Lebu, I missed Bongeka, I missed Mpo. Mandy, I really missed my friends, because I feel like in the time I've been in China, I have not made such friends. These people, are people that we've been friends with for a very long time. They've become sisters. I miss our ice cream dates, calling you, Sasa, let's go for ice cream. I really miss these people that have become sisters. I missed family as well. Obviously, family. I missed family. I missed my grandmother. I missed just family generally. I missed 3 things: family, friends, and the South African vibe. Guys, South Africa, the vibe, the fact that there's gonna be a weekend and it's going down, the fact that you guys are being alerted of a possible terrorist attack and you guys are laughing about it, joking about it. I just miss the South African vibe. That's all.
So about the things I miss the most in my country that makes me feel makes appreciate it more, I don't think it's specific things about the country itself. I think they are different countries, so they work in different ways and they have different things which are not necessarily better or worse than one another. But one thing I miss most about home is the feeling of belonging there, because you're living abroad, so you are a foreigner. People are going to treat you as a foreigner, like you're not from here. Even if they're friendly with you, if they're your friend or something, it still doesn't really feel like you belong to the place you are. I think that's the thing I miss the most.
South Africa has amazing food, and you'll notice how this is in contrast to what I just said. Germany has good food. South Africa has amazing food. The flavor. And also, I will mention the people. We just have incredible people with incredible vibes, if that's what you're into, of course. But I absolutely miss this so much about the country, that just general sense of buzz that's around. The thing about Germany, it's so silent. And maybe that's exactly what people like. I've never been a person who's scene. I can't say that I'm into vibey places and stuff like that. But living in Germany and realizing, oh my God, it's so incredibly silent. I can sometimes hear my own heartbeat. Okay, maybe this is an exaggeration, but it really is that silent. You can hear a pin drop at the airport, and there's generally not a sense that you will have in South Africa that everything is so silent. From the moment you land at the airport, you get that change in atmosphere. People, hey, dumelang, just at the airport, that's the kind of environment and atmosphere that you arrive to. And when you arrive in Germany, the atmosphere is one of silence. So I definitely would say I appreciate this more about South Africa, and it's something that I never noticed. Indeed, every country has a vibe. There's a vibe in South Africa, and it's just incredible. I'm in love with the vibe, and I'm in love with the people. I think we have such spirited people, and this just creates a general atmosphere of welcoming in the country, and I absolutely love this. So thank you so much for listening to me talk about these experiences, and again, thank you to Mamosa for having me.
And that, ladies and gents, concludes the second episode of the Living Abroad series. I hope you found it valuable, insightful, and informative. And I hope that these wonderful people were able to answer the questions that you had. And if you have further questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below and let the conversation continue. Or if you have different experiences, please feel free to comment below. And I must say that my personal experiences are also kind of similar to what they have shared with us. As I was listening to each one of them, I was like, I can relate. I can relate. I've also gone through that. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just so interesting, like really, really interesting. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give it a huge thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Alrighty, until next time, please take care of yourself. Bye.